I usually don't like starting reviews with a summary of the episode, but don't worry, this one won't take long because all the actual story takes place entirely in the first and last minutes of the episode. Okay, so there's a thing called the Tantibus, and it's basically a living nightmare kind of thing. Fun fact, I googled it, and Tantibus is Latin for nightmare, in case you were wondering where the name came from. Normally, the Tantibus is contained within Luna's dreams, but suddenly it escapes and eventually infects the dreams of everyone in Ponyville. Fast forward through 20 minutes of weird dream hijinks, and then Luna reveals that she actually created the Tantibus as a means of constantly giving herself nightmares to punish herself for the whole Nightmare Moon thing. Pretty intense, right? But after a quick Twilight Sparkle pep talk, during which she explains that the only person who isn't already way over the Nightmare Moon incident is Luna. So after Luna learns to forgive herself, the Tantibus goes away and everyone is fine. The end. Now, as you can obviously see from the title of the video, I liked this episode for all the usual reasons. Animation, humor, blah blah blah. Actually, wait. I don't want to blah right past the last shot of the episode. That's worth dedicating some time to so we can all appreciate just how fucking cool this shot is. Okay, that's enough. Clearly, though, I have something more to say than just that, or I wouldn't have bothered to come out of my cave and actually make a video for it. And that's because there's actually one big problem I had with the episode. The whole time I was watching it, I had this uneasy feeling. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something in the back of my head saying, there's a big problem with this episode staring you in the face. And it was legitimately ruining my enjoyment of the episode. But it wasn't until the end that I finally figured out what it was. Up until the very end, I had no idea where the episode was going or what it was trying to do. As far as I could tell, the episode was just going to play out where some monster gets introduced, the characters work together, and then the monster is defeated. Just like that. Which is exactly the kind of thing that the 100th episode and even the introduction of this very episode made a point of satirizing. Up until the end, I had no way of knowing what the moral was going to be, or even if there was going to be a moral at all, because it's not mentioned or even remotely hinted at throughout almost the entire episode. Usually in MOP, you can single out a character as making some kind of mistake that you know they will learn from in the end. But that's not the case here. The episode just wanders around for 20 minutes before suddenly throwing the moral at you in the very end. Now, admittedly, some stories can get away with hiding its purpose until a grand reveal at the end, but that only works when the reveal acts retrospectively and makes everything you've seen in the story up to that point suddenly make much more sense. See the Lego Movie for a near perfectly executed example of this story structure. But again, this episode fails to do even that. Even in retrospect, none of the episode's story has anything to do with the moral or the episode's conclusion. Despite their best efforts, all the ponies fighting does nothing to stop the Tantibus, and it wasn't even through this ineffectiveness that the way to defeat the Tantibus was revealed. Luna just happened to mention her reason for creating the Tantibus, which then allowed the main six to help Luna destroy it. If Luna had gone ahead and given the whole truth at the start of the episode, the whole mess could have been over with before it started. It's frustrating to watch is what it is. Now, I've said time and time again that season 5 is shifting the show's focus towards humor, and I've always been okay with that because I thought MOP could handle itself doing this, but this episode seems like a confirmation of many people's fears about a stronger focus on humor. The concern was that MOP would get too caught up in its jokes and eventually lose sight of the show's purpose, i.e. the morals. But that's exactly what this episode seemed to do. It hinted very slightly at the moral in the beginning, but then completely forgot about it until the very end. Even Slice of Life, an episode that was just completely off the wall, managed to make its intended lesson apparent throughout the whole episode and even used the jokes to the benefit of the moral. MLP can juggle comedy and morals well when it's trying to, but I have to wonder how many times I'm going to let it drop the ball before I have to call it out. As my channel is an obvious testament to, I'm easily impressed. Make me laugh or show me some pretty pictures and I'll give you a thumbs up, though there are some legitimate positive points to the episode too. The moral, as poorly executed as it was, is a really good lesson to teach, and the episode in general is still a great example of MLP's trademark creativity. They teach a lesson about learning to forgive yourself for your mistakes and do so in a way that fits in with and adds to the show's already existing history and characters, and I think that's great. But I still wouldn't have considered it enough to make a video if it wasn't for the things that I greatly disliked about the episode, and I think it's worrying that for the past several episodes, all of my reasons for liking an episode have fallen under the usual stuff, and the only things that have stood out to me as unique enough to be worth addressing have been negatives, and I really hope that trend doesn't last.